When I think about happiness, it's often from a place of lack. On days when I'm feeling low, I start to think to myself, when will I be happy again? Up until recently, I never sat down to think about what happiness is and what really makes me happy. Last week, I took some time in the midst of my sadness to really give this some thought.
You fell into me and I fell backwards too. But now I know how it feels to fall in love with you. And now I know how it feels, and I hope that you know too.
I'm really glad I took this time to think carefully about it, because I realised that happiness wasn't ever really my goal, but satisfaction with my life. This is what I felt missing.
Swept me away. Now I know how it feels to have the jelly to my peanut butter. Now I know how it feels to have my heart develop and stutter. But I never felt this way about anyone else.
Hey Google, good morning.
Good morning. The time is 8:19 a.m. Currently in London it's 3 degrees and partly cloudy. Today, it'll be cloudy, with a forecast high of 10 and a low of 2. Have a wonderful day.
Most of us view happiness as a response to a particular event or situation. We think we'll be happy if something happens. I'll be happy when I make more money, or I'd be so much happier if I'd finally lose some weight, or I'll be ecstatic when I finally reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. But when I reflected on the happiest times in my life, I realized that many of them weren't tied to any specific outcome at all. But actually, they came from a deep sense of satisfaction and practices that I had subconsciously been adopting. I've learned that happiness is a way of living your life with honest appreciation despite hardships and setbacks. And I hope that you'll stick around with me today while I share some reflections with you on how to live a happier, more satisfied life.
When you're young, you don't think about
Say hi, girls.
good things haven't bad.
Here we are in Cheongno-kwan.
Thinking about some of the happiest moments in my life, I realized that there was one thing that they all had in common. Surprisingly, it wasn't the big promotions or the fancier apartments that brought me the most joy, but the times when I was living as authentically as I could. When I was myself and wasn't trying to live up to anyone else's expectations is when I was the happiest. Hey, now we're talking. Okay, so I am about to go to the laundrette and I was like, you know what, I'm in a mood to video diary today because it's a bit more chilled for me today. I've gotten to know my area a lot more and I just felt like it, and I do what I want. Not a lot of people know this, but before I moved to Korea in 2017, there was a moment where I almost didn't go. The reason being that someone in my life was not happy with my decision to pack up my life and move 5,000 miles away. I went against their expectations, and it was honestly the best decision that I had to make. It wasn't a conscious effort at that time, but looking back on it, I realized that no matter who you make your decisions for, you are the person who has to live with the consequences. And I think you're more likely to feel satisfied with your decisions, regardless of the outcome, if they're made with you in mind and not others. I think the reason why I look back on my memories of Korea so fondly is because, despite the hardships and setbacks that I faced, it was the first thing that I had ever done that was truly for myself. So I think one thing I can learn from this experience is to always try and live for myself, and to live in a way that makes me feel proud of who I am. That way, regardless of what I'm faced with, I know that I'm being myself and being true to myself. At 28 years old, I've succeeded at a lot of things, but I've also failed at just as many, if not more. I used to shame and judge myself so harshly whenever I made a mistake or didn't accomplish a goal. But recently I read The Power of Vulnerability by Brene, and her stance on shame changed my perspective. Many studies have shown shame to be counterproductive to sustainable change, but lots of us do it anyway. We shame ourselves if we can't shift the weight, or if we fail a test, or if we don't land the job we wanted, or if we go through another breakup. We all know that failure is an inevitable part of life, but what if we started to see it as not just inevitable, but vital? Think of it this way. Imagine if you took a failed attempt at something and wrote a list of everything you did well and then everything you could have improved on, and then used that list to set a strategy for the future. Doesn't that sound like a better use of time compared to spending hours being angry at ourselves for making mistakes? I think our time is best spent learning from our failures and trying to make the most of these experiences. I'm not saying that we can't feel disappointed, because that's natural. But I think life would be more satisfying if we acknowledged our setbacks as opportunities and made the most out of them. Being open to making mistakes and seeking help and trying to do our best without judging ourselves for past failures will lead to a happier existence. Yeah, there's more, so we're just going to keep going. But so far we've got 2 lovely handwritten notes from grandmother and her mother, which is so sweet. Holy crapolas, bros. Another mug. Look, you guys know, or you should know, I'm a tea addict, an absolute tea addict. I cannot start my day without a hot drink. So cups, mugs, all of that good stuff never goes to waste. How beautiful is this? How beautiful is this? My friends always joke about how easy it is to buy gifts for me. I really like small gifts. Blankets, plushies, cups, mugs, candles, and things like that. Even just going for a drive. It isn't just gifts where my love of small things begins and ends though. I realised that the times when I'm feeling the most content in life is usually when I'm appreciating something small, like watching the sunset or enjoying some boba, watching a Ghibli movie, or just catching up with a friend on the phone. The culture of capitalism often leaves us chasing big things. More money, or a faster car, or a bigger house, or more luxurious items, and while I don't think there's anything wrong with that, I do think that small things can bring us just as much sense of fulfillment and contentment. Try making a list of all the things that make you happy in life and try to schedule a few minutes a day to indulge in those things. So, for example, on Tuesdays, I try to catch the sunset. On Wednesdays, I make a habit of replacing the flowers in my house. On the Saturdays, I always try to catch up with at least one of my friends abroad. These happy moments have become such anchors in my life. Making time for small daily pleasures in your life will leave you with a deeper sense of satisfaction. I need to take a video of this, it's so pretty. Well, hello beans. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I have one final thought to share with you. As I've shared these perspectives with you on happiness, be careful not to turn these into chores that you feel you need to complete. After all, the biggest thing I've learned is that happiness isn't a race with a finish line, but a journey towards self. I love you all so much, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
When the roads illuminate, will you lament the paths you did not take? Or will you find the truth that we made?